guys, so today we are going to talk about adding fractions. You will not get homework over this today because we'll get homework over it on Monday. So the only homework over the weekend is to do your fractions. Guys, if you haven't gotten it done yet, get it done. Then you don't have to worry about it. You're going to have homework next week. So get it done. Got it? All right. So as I already said, we're only going to do part of this page today because I do not want to give you too much information. Does that make sense? Okay, so we are going to be adding and subtracting fractions, mixed numbers, all of that sort of stuff. And a lot of things are very, very similar. So we're kind of going to take multiple notes at once, but we're only going to practice just adding, okay? So if we're adding and subtracting with like denominators, someone tell me, what does like denominators mean? Jake? It has the same number in bottom. So if I look at these two practice problems, I have 12 and 12. They're the same. I have 3 and 3. They are the same. Does that make sense what I mean by like denominators? Okay, so I have 3 steps of what I need to do if my denominators are the same. We are going to add or subtract the what? Numerators. Nice job. We're going to keep what the same, everyone? Excellent. And this is the one thing that Iba said he didn't want to do, but what's the last step we must do? Simplify. So if your denominators are already the same, all you have to do is add your numerators, keep your denominators the same, and simplify if necessary, meaning if you have to. So let's do that here. What do I have here? 5 plus 11. Okay, so now add the numerator. 5 plus 11 is 15. Keep your denominator the same, which is 12. Okay, I have 16 twelfths. What's my final step? Simplify, meaning what number can I divide out of both 16 and 12 to make it smaller, everyone? 4. What else could I have done? 2. Let's do 4 because it's the bigger number, right, guys? Yeah. We can take the greatest common factor out. Let's take it out. No. Yep. 16 divided by 4 is what, everyone? 4. 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and 12 divided by 4 is? 3. What's that? 4. And what's 4/3 called? You are not allowed to have improper fractions as answers, which means now we must do what? Change it into a mixed number. So I want you to write right here. Change to a mixed number. So change to a mixed number if necessary. So everyone change that to a mixed number for me. Bless you. What is it, everyone? 1 and 1/3. You should tell me 1 and 1/3, and that is your answer. Bless you. Questions? Yes.
What if we change 16 twelfths to a mixed number, then we just have to simplify that?
So that's a great question, guys. Could I have done 16 twelfths to a mixed number and then simplified in the end?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The order that you do it in does not matter. Does that make sense, everyone? So if you are more comfortable changing this to a mixed and then simplifying that fraction, go for it. I will accept either way. Sound good? Any questions so far? All right, that's it for this page. Well, no, yes, no. We got to do this down here, but we're not going to do these examples because they're subtracting examples. Actually, I lied. We're going to fix them. Here we go. Adding and subtracting with unlike denominators. What do I mean by unlike denominators? What do I mean, Peyton? They're not the same. I have an 8 and a 10 and 2 and an 8. They're not the same number. Okay? So, in order to add and or subtract unlike denominators, what must we do, everyone?
Multiply. Multiply a number that can go into. The number that you're. Find the denominator that you're trying to change. Find multiply numbers with both numbers.
I just need to get common denominators. That's all I need to do. Okay. There are multiple ways that we can do this. And there are multiple steps here that we are kind of going to skip because we don't need them yet. Okay? So we're going to skip step 1 because that's not necessary today. Got it? We're going to go to step 2. We are going to find the least common denominator of the fractions. Meaning I want to know what is the smallest number that both 8 and 10 go into. Okay? So we're going to change this to an adding problem. Will everyone change that to a plus sign for me? So it should say 5/8 plus 3/10. I have an 8 and I have a 10. What is the smallest number, meaning my least common denominator or my least common multiple that 8 and 10 go into? Meaning if we count by 8s and we count by 10s, what is the smallest number that they will both go into? Noah? No, that they go into. Like 8 has to go into it and 10 has to go into it. Like they gotta multiply into that number. Like meaning what would my common denominator be? Thank you, there we go. 40. My least common denominator is gonna be 40. So I'm gonna write 40 plus 40. That's my least common denominator. Does that make sense, everyone? Is the smallest number that 8 and 10 both go into. Is that understood? Okay, so look at number 3 here. It says rewrite each fraction using a common denominator. Don't forget to change the numerator as well by doing what operation? Good, by multiplying. By the same factor used to take the denominator to the least common denominator. Meaning, everyone, how did I get 10 to 40? What did I do? So if I did 10 times 4, what do I need to do to that? 3. And 3 times 4 is? So my new fraction is 12/40. Okay, same thing with my other one. How did I get from 8 to 40? And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I would do 5 times 5, which is 5/8 and 25/40, guys. Those are what we call equivalent fractions. That's what we did on Wednesday. 3/10 and 12/40, those are equivalent fractions. Same thing. That's what we did on Wednesday. All you're doing is getting equivalent fractions. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. Now, with step 4 say add or subtract the what? Numerator. And keep the denominators the same. So that means I want to take 25 plus 12. What's 25 plus 12? You should hopefully tell me 37. And then I want to keep what the same? What's my last and final step? Can I simplify on this problem? Good. Nothing goes into both 37 and into 40. So 37/40 is your answer. If you have to change it to a mixed number, do you have to? Well, not on this problem, but if you have to. Yes. All right. You ready for some more practice problems? Okay, go to the green page.
Wow, my green page is already almost falling out.
All right, so help me out. We're just going to do the top half. Adding fraction steps. What do you think step number 1 would be? What's the first thing I need to do? Find the least common denominator. Find the least common denominator. So let's do example 1, practice number 1, while we do that. 5 and 7. Raise your hand if you can figure out what the least common denominator of 5 and 7 are. Okay, this is one I don't want you guys to overthink. If you cannot figure it out, what should you do? Multiply what? Perfect. If you cannot figure out what the least common denominator is, all you need to do is multiply your two denominators together. What are my two denominators in this problem? And what is 5 times 7, everyone? Is that the least common denominator as well? Yes, it is. Does that make sense, guys? So, you can always just multiply the two denominators together. Got it? Connor. Yep, absolutely. And we're going to do a couple of troubleshooting things here in a minute, okay? So, let's change our denominator to 35. So we found our least common denominator. That was step 1. What's step 2? What's the second thing we need to do, Hattie? Good. So let's just write multiply the same number to the denominator, or we'll say to the top and bottom, just because we're running out of room. So multiply the same number to the top and the bottom. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top, and vice versa. So this is, guys, this is where I like to take separate colors, just because it helps me organize. But how did I get from 5 to 35? Times it by 5, and whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the. So I'm going to take 4 times what? 4 times 5 is? Okay, then let's do the other side. How do I get from 5 to 35? And whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the. So 3 times 7 is? What is it? Now what? Add the what? Step 3. Add the numerators. So I'm going to take that 21 and I'm going to add that 20 to it. 21 plus 20 is? What's step 4?
Keep the denominator.
Excellent. Bless you. What's my denominator, everyone? Say that fraction for me out loud. What's it say?
40.
Okay, so what's step 5? Simplify and change to a mixed number if necessary. So let's write that down. Simplify and change to a mixed number if necessary. Everyone do that for me, please. Change it to a mixed number for me, please, and thank you. $13. What'd you get, Max? Do you guys agree? You should. He is right. And 6/35 cannot be simplified. So it is in simplest form. Okay. How are we feeling? We still have 2 problems left to go, so we're not done yet. And then we're going to be practicing again on Monday. Okay? How many of you remember this from 5th grade? Because it hopefully was a topic you learned in 5th grade, so we're just hopefully reviewing it. Okay? Alright, I've got 8 and I've got 3. 8 and 3. Number 9. What do you think the least common denominator is? Do you guys agree with 24? I would as well. So we're rewriting them with that 24 as our denominator. 10. Colo. How do I get from 8 to 24?
You times it by 3.
So what's my numerator?
The numerator is going to be 7 times 3, which is 21.
Excellent. Nicely done.
Our page is about 12.
17. How do I go from 3 to 24? So what's my numerator? Well, my denominator is 24. What's the numerator going to be? What's that number on top? Well, it's 1 right now. What do I got to do to that 1? I don't times it by 3 because I did 8 times 3. So my new numerator is what? Good job. Perfect. you. Noah, what do I do now? Add what? Which is? Over what, Noah? Add your two numerators together. 21 plus 8 is 29. Keep your denominator the same, which is 24. We have 29 24. Nice job, Noah. 21. What do I do now? Make it a mixed number. If you haven't done that yet, please do that for me. Brady, tell me what it is. Nice job, Brady. And that cannot be simplified. That is in simplest form. If you tell me the least common denominator, you will rarely have to simplify. Does that make sense? But if you don't give me the least common denominator, you will have to simplify. Is that clear? Does that make sense? So on this next one, I want to give that as an example. Because I want to show you. Okay? So I've got 6 and 4. Typically, I'd ask you guys for the least common denominator. But let's say you cannot figure that out. Okay? Okay? I don't want the least common denominator. Okay? I want to figure out, if I can't figure it out, how do I do this? I cannot figure out my least common denominators. What do I do with my two bottom numbers? What's 6 times 4? Okay, so we're going to use 24 as our common denominator. And I'm going to tell you right now that that is not the least common denominator. Okay? But I want to show you that you can do this without finding the least common denominator. Is that clear? Okay? $15. How do I get from 6 to 24? Which means what's the new numerator? Excellent. 24. How do I get from 4 to 24? Which means my new numerator is? That's my denominator. There you go, 18. 3. What do I do now? So add your numerators together. 20 plus 18. That is what, Stella? 30 what? 38 over? Excellent. Nice job, Stella. Now I need to simplify and change it to a mixed number if necessary. Okay, let's change it to a mixed number. So I'm going to change it to a mixed number for me. Jake, put your hand down. Follow my directions. Change it to a mixed number. Seven. Tell me what you got. Not 19. You're close. You're right on the one. What's 38 minus 24? There you go. All right, so I have 1 and 14 24s. Am I done? What do I need to do? Good, everyone simplify 14 24s for me. Good. got? How'd you get 7/12? And that right there is your answer. 1 and 7/12. So, my point to this problem is that you can still do this without finding the least common denominator. Is that understood? You just have to do what in the end? Simplify. If you would have found the least common denominator, what was it? 12. Because that's what we simplified it to. So I could have done, you guys don't need to write this down, but I could have done that 5/6 plus 3/4. Oops. And I could have said my new denominator was 12, right? Everyone, how do I get from 6 to 12? So what's my new numerator? How do I get from 4 to 12? What's my new numerator? What do I do now? What do I get? 10 plus 9 is 19. So then when I simplify, 12 goes into 19 how many times? 19 minus 12. Did we get the same answer? Do I really care which way you do? No, because you should still get the same answer in the end. Is that understood? So I do not want to see anyone just sitting at their desk or at their homework assignments or whenever they're doing this being like, I'm trying to find the least common denominator. If you do not figure it out in like 20 seconds, move on. Multiply two denominators. Do not waste time trying to figure it out. Is that clear? There's no reason to have to sit there and waste time. Move it. You keep going. It is okay if you cannot figure out that least common denominator. You just will have to simplify in the end. Is that understood? What questions do you have for me? I'm going to stop this recording.